folks, it's going to be the second Oregon of the day, and hopefully it's a banger just like the first. Soniqs will be in control of the offense, and Parabellum will be starting us off on defense. After they've removed Thatcher, Soniqs will take out Flores, who we got to see used pretty often from TSM's offensive end because of the mute ban. Now, we're going to get a mute ban here. No, we're going to get the Azami ban instead, making quite a bit of sense given the current meta.
So Azami going to be knocked out. No surprises here in terms of the operator ban selection. Finally coming down to our last defender, and that's going to leave Valkyrie out of the pool. So really no surprises here as far as Oregon play is concerned. Florida is a little bit lower on the ban pool, specifically for Oregon, more so than anything. However, not too surprising still, considering the effectiveness he can have, especially in those harder to reach areas of the map, like the depths of dorms, the inner parts of the basement site. He can be very, very useful.
Where there's kind of some parameters put around how much you can really do in an aggressive situation.
So that's going to take us into our first round here, where we have PB going to be setting themselves up into the basement here. No surprise in terms of operator selection for them. The Mirror is going to be coming out again. She was left into the pool for the second time in a row today. Gunner is going to be using her. Or you can see one of those mirrors that have been lined up to face from the inside of the laundry closet to the laundry room itself. And the second one more than likely going to be utilized to block out freezer access. That's how we generally tend to see that go down. Away from that, though, it's pretty much the same thing for the attackers. A fairly straightforward attacking lineup. Grixer, of course, is going to be happy that we can get Finka banned out this game, so she's obviously going to be swapped in. Twitch going to be utilized by Rexon as well. Super will be the emphasis of our focus, however, on the execute operator side, as he's going to be on that Ying, so pay very close attention to him, as him throwing the Candelas down through E-Hatch will pretty much determine when the action gets started.
Yes, indeed. He's also going to be bringing the secondary hard breach utility in case Yeti gets picked off. This is going to allow Yeti a little bit more free reign in his decision-making from this point of view, make it to where he can take some more engagements and things along those lines. Whereas if he was the lone hard breach, you more than likely have to play things extremely safe, try and drone things out, and get his other players to accomplish these tasks for him. Penguin, pretty interesting location right now. He'll get rid of a drone. Has a Goyo canister on the back of the bookshelf inside of Attic, so can use that to try and slow down the push across if Sonic want to go for it. But as of right now, they're just trying to get a full read as to how PB is holding on to the building. They're dedicating quite a bit of time to it.
Plaz has been spotted out. Not too fearful of the situation, though, but does hear the footsteps above him. Panics a little bit and won't fall back, and it's a good panic as well, because as you can see, Kansas was definitely going to be opening up an angle to take him out had he not decided to move away from there. Smooth move so far from PB to be able to dodge the clear from the Soniqs, but at the same time, not a huge waste of time so far in these positions from PB, so no one really gaining anything. Both teams just kind of executing into their own methods at this point in the round.
Yes, indeed. But you can see from the reinforcements that Parabellum have set up that there's a lot of different facets that Soniqs are actually going to have to work through as a team. They had that play going on there inside a big tower for some time, but Penguin's actually going to drop off. He had the two reinforcements there, which would have forced the Soniqs to try and clear that out in kind of a different way than what we see from Kansan here. You'd really want somebody to come in from that other side, try and pinch out the stairs player, something along those lines. But Parabellum, they're playing this one close to the chest. They realize how dwindled this timer has gotten. And now for the Soniqs, they have to be the ones to actually push themselves forward. You can see Parabellum reinserting themselves onto the side, finding some influential locations to play like Penguin here inside of E-Box. This could gift him a kill, especially with this Candela going right past him. It might not even blind him depending on what's about to happen here. Another one out, and Penguin's not going to get blinded again. Third one, and that one's through the door as well. Penguin finally blinded. Super, he's going to drop in, but that doesn't really matter when Penguin's sitting right in the corner, and the sun's going to wear off as soon as he drops in. That's Soniq's main strategy out the window, and now they have to try and recoup. It's going to start with Yeti and Kansan getting some big kills, and Kansan for two. It'll knock it all down to Gunner, who's playing inside of the laundry rotation with so many guns trained on him.
Try to throw the Nitro, but it's going to be read like a book. No problem for Soniqs to shoot that one out. Gunner left alone here inside of the 1v4. Will attempt to make the play to stop the plant, but it obviously won't work out. The Soniqs get a definitive opening round, and they are happy about it, man. They're angry about it.
It's round one. It is round one. The desks do not deserve this. They do not deserve this. I've never seen somebody so happy that they punch their desk. Usually that happens when the shoe's on the other foot. So, I mean, hey, we've got a round under our belts, though, for the Soniqs, and they're looking pretty spiffy. they're looking spicy. I like what we're seeing so far. Good drone clear there. Not giving Parabellum an inch when it came to that either. Parabellum just kind of naturally falling back towards site once the timer demanded it. And then Soniqs able to abuse them past that moment. And that's even without Super really getting anything done inside of E-Box. You know, he throws all of his Candelas in there and immediately gets iced. But fortunately enough for Super, the rest of his team happened to be pretty damn good at the video game as they went out 3 engagements in quick succession, especially for that kill that Yeti got on big tower stairs. That was a pretty nasty one at the end of the day.
10 seconds to go.
So prep time going to be ending here in just a moment. PB not throwing any surprises at us. Not really going to be changing anything either with regards to the operator lineup. Pretty much throwing the same exact thing as we saw in the previous round. Even going to see the same form of delay in the Goyo canisters coming out for a second time for PB. The Soniqs, however, pretty much going to be executing into the same right as well. Things went pretty swimmingly for them in the previous rounds. So, excuse me, had a hiccup there. So no real reason to change things up with regards to their plan. Going to see them, however, extend their defensive grasp a little bit more so at the beginning of this round, as we can see Eska and Blaz this time trying to venture out a bit more. Looks like more than likely those players are going to be primed to fall back fairly quickly, however, should they have too much pressure thrown onto them.
Absolutely. All over 30 seconds into round 2. Parabellum looking exactly like what we had seen from round 1. Slow and steady whilst they fall back towards site. Just trying to get in the way of the Soniqs early, see if they can get some early drones or anything of the sort. Mirrors on the window, and oh my Rexen, what a play from all the way upstairs. He's going to get both of the Miras, and not only that, Gunner still isn't aware that that's even happened. He's still on his drone in sight. Penguin's going to go down upstairs. The Goyo not looking exactly recoverable at the current moment, especially with Kansan bearing down on his location. He's been yellow pinged to high heavens, and more than likely will be visiting in a moment's notice as well. Kansan will be able to clean that up. Still has one to worry about, at least in the immediate area, but actually Eska's fallen back down as well. So Soniqs are going to get away with this initial engagement scot-free.
First kill on the board for our attackers. Parabellum have gone incredibly passive since then, however. Despite that, though, still playing to some pretty aggro angles here. So Soniqs are really going to have to work for their entries when they are ready to eventually deploy towards some delay and setting themselves up for that, as they don't really have the confidence to go directly against that 2-player setup on the back stairs just yet. They'll be able to avoid that by going towards Freezer, which appears to be the current plan for them. We'll have to see how this attempts to evolve, as they still have about 20 to 30 seconds before they're really going to be locked in. Big play lining up for Gunner, though, and unfortunately, they're not going to catch it. That's case control for Gunner if he wanted to stay in defending too, but quite obviously not a position that he can play long term. Backs away from that, will give the case back over, but that has equalized the player count down to a 4v4.
Bomb located by attackers.
Well, Soniqs don't exactly have an answer for the situation that they've been presented, but they have to do something here. So they'll gather themselves, muster some strength, and start to push themselves forward. Frag grenades out towards the laundry player, some smokes out as well from the closet player. Nothing going down for either team just yet. Blaz is going to get tagged up, but this is all whilst this timer continues to leak. Soniqs have to get a pick here to try and create some space, but it's been so difficult to try and find anything, and now they're trading back and forth. This isn't good for the Soniqs. They're going to lose out another one, and it's a 2 versus 3. Rexen trying to pick up the pieces. He'll move up Freezer hallway. Knows he has one into his side, and Grixer in tow. Mirror window open, and a dead Blaz. The smoke will hold things down, at least for now. Be able to hold the cross here. Knows that the shotgun's coming back through. Hasn't been able to one it out just yet. There's a player coming in from behind, and Eska will get him. What a shot from Eska, as the other player has been down for PB, but it does not matter. They'll claim the round after icing out the Soniqs there near the tail end of the round.
See Penguin as well immediately jumping on the comms after that one to make sure that they quickly correct on any smaller mistakes. They are focused right now. Why wouldn't they be, with everything on the line for this matchup? I mean, so much of them. It's even better out. They're able to quickly rebound after that first round loss and put themselves on the board at 1-1. That's quite obviously going to shift us now. No longer going to be locked into the basement. We moved upstairs into the kids' dorms, where they'll look to pick up their next round and hopefully take the lead away from the Soniqs as well.
Now, throughout the stage, this has been the site where we've seen some of the craziest things happen for the majority of Oregon. Yeah, we've had some crazy clutches when it comes to the basement and things like that, but this top floor tends to be a hell in a cell when it comes to defending it. There's so many different angles that the offense can try and pick up, and it makes it really, really difficult. You really have to play on your position extremely well, like almost almost pixel perfect, so you don't walk into an angle that could potentially be your demise. And also, speaking of demise, this is our updated percentages as to what has to happen for either of these teams to make the Berlin Major. You can see if either one of them wins in regulation or overtime, it's an automatic success. But for Parabellum, they're outweighing the Soniqs if it's an OT loss or a loss at all.
Obviously, things looking a little bit more promising for PB should they go awry here, but I think Jacob had mentioned on the desk, why not get it done here and now instead of having to potentially worry about the results of the other 3 games? I would agree with that philosophy, and I think PB does as well, so they're going to look to lock this one in and play for a little bit of an upset against the Soniqs if they can manage to lock them out of Berlin. But away from that, things are very, very quiet here at the beginning of the 3rd round. Only seeing the initial play from the Soniqs now as they're going to move the Gemini into the yellow hall window and begin to clear things out from there. Quick follow-through from a few of their players, however, to thrust behind that yellow hall take as we'll see at least the sledge move in. Man, we saw this happen just last week, too. A player got misdrown from this very same position and ended up costing huge.
Oh my God.
There's no way a second one just rolled by and didn't see Gunnar either. I cannot believe my eyes right now.
The days where I wish Joe Bro was on the desk right now. Oh my goodness. Grixer, please look left. Oh my.
I think they might have seen it.
John, they didn't see him, I'm telling you. They haven't seen him yet. It's not
I think it looked
happened.
under the benches.
I mean, it's all up to FOV as well, and like the big thing is that a lot of professional players, they play 4-3, so like their FOV in comparison to what we're seeing right now is completely different because all of this is 16.9 at 90 FOV, so it's a max FOV that you can get for Siege unless you want to be crazy like with your monitor and do like 21.9 or something. But yeah, so it might be the fact that they just straight up didn't see him out of the peripheral vision of their aspect ratio, which is something that I really never thought I was going to talk about on desk, but yet here we are. So past that, though, Gunnar, told you, didn't get seen. He's going to take down Grixer, and Super, too little, too late, buddy. He just crawled up the hatch. Yet he's planning, though, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Well, it does now when Kool-Aid's going to knock down the case inside of the site and make this potentially one of the easiest rounds for Parabellum throughout this match.
Yeah, 3v5 still set against the members of PB, and with 2 of them considerably damaged as well. But as Stokes mentioned, there is absolutely 0 ways for the Soniqs to not only get themselves into the site, but actually get considerable case control back. That thing is locked in a box right now, and there is really no way to force it open.
What a shot.
Rexon, yeah, beautifully shot indeed. Nade nearly takes him out from his teammate, though. In fact, sets Blaz up for an easy closeout on that duel there. Kansan will get at least 1 more for his counter. Now sends it down into a 1v3. All right. Kansan making this workable after all, as he suddenly takes out Kool-Aid as well. Going to go for the nade swing here, but it's going to be way off the marker. No one even close to that department. So not going to be able to make a true strike there. We'll be able to, I believe, spot out 1 player behind this deployable shield. That is just guessing on the pre-fire right now. Another opportunity to take out one of the remaining 2, and he really is able to get it. There's a bit of a swing coming in from Penguin. No full commitment just yet, however. He tries to wrap around, and finally Eska will get the better of him as PB locks in their second.
I'm really happy that Parabellum slowed that down as we started to see Kansan build up towards a clutch, but you really need to play those crosses and make it to where Kansan's decision-making is split. He has to worry about 2 different angles at the same time, and really, if you've got enough pressure on them, you really don't even have to swing with the 1 player. You can just catch them off guard with the other, just like we saw right here, and PB pull themselves ahead. What a round from them as well, dealing some early damage to the Soniqs after a massive misplay with the drones moving in through meeting, makes it to where Gunnar slips through the cracks and he's able to get the first kill. Now the big question, since we were so focused on that moment there in the round, what the hell happened with Yeti upstairs? Why is he pushing in there? We have no EE1D going off. He's completely off on his own island with case in hand. Like, I mean, he is indeed a madman for the Soniqs. He's the spearhead, as he's had in his Twitter bio for some time. But I don't think that that's exactly, you know, inside of that same area. So hopefully the Soniqs will try and slow things down just a little bit and try and assist each other in accomplishing some of these tasks. And, well, we found out who was more charming, and it just so happens to be Super. And, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. He does have a charm.
That's very true. So we'll now see if Super's charm will supercharge the Soniqs to try and pick up a second round, as PB looking hot right now. However, they have to go to the tertiary site, which oftentimes will leave our defenders quite vulnerable and susceptible to the attackers rather picking up their own next rounds. We'll see if that'll be the case for PB. Quite a bit of an extension to the upstairs hold, both Kool-Aid and Blaz to extend Penguin, or rather Gunner and Penguin, I should say, helping them out with that as they'll be playing from the backside of the big tower, but aside from that, pretty much the expected setup here for the PB lineup, and now the Soniqs are going to have to move in to be able to clear this out appropriately.
Well, nade's going to land on Kool-Aid, but it won't accomplish all that much. Blaz will be denying the Master Closet for some time, but I don't know if that necessarily got the Selma there before it was able to get that second crack at the hard wall. I'm going to do where that'll be a rotate instead of just an angle, but we'll be able to update you on that a little while later. Kool-Aid currently laying down inside of the dorms, awaiting the arrival of the Soniqs, and so was Gunner, but Rexon, oh my, makes mincemeat of the entire Rome game. In less time than it takes to snap your fingers, 2 Parabellum members go down, and Soniqs looking to tie things up already.
Blast trying to peek in, but the Soniqs have read that angle way too far in advance. Good nitro from Eska, but it's unfortunately a bit of a fading kill here. Doesn't massively contribute to bringing back the deficit down from a 2 versus 4 as it's set up now. Oh no, big mistake made there by Grixa, assuming that Eska would have been further down the stairs. He misreads the fight, only able to get those foot shots off against him immediately. Eska now makes the round fairly winnable for PB as it's brought to a 2v3.
That's a little scary right now for the Soniqs, but the good news is they have so many breaching charges as well as Rexon on box, so they can rip open the entire top of Kitchen and give themselves a very solid vantage point to try and work from and get a plant down. For Parabellum, they still need a very serious answer, and I think that they already know one is rotating off of that yellow ping. A drone inside a lobby will discover at least Eska, so they know that he'll be playing near splits. Trying to pull off what we had just seen from Gunner moments ago. He's going to swing in and, oh, bodied by Yeti on the swing. That AK-12, so mean when it comes down to it. So much damage emitted from that barrel. And now Blaz in the 1 versus 3 has to do something. Moves over inside of Kitchen. Nothing really home inside of Split, although there is 2 bodies there, but nobody occupying his angle. Gonna work his way back through Z. Has to worry about the Split player. Super's going to get tagged up. He doesn't have a rotation through that, but it's going to be Yeti to shut it down instead. The Northern squad falling to the Northern Beast. As Soniqs will be able to at least tie things up.
So the Soniqs keeping themselves even here against the Canadians as they still try to best them inside of what is sure to be a full distance brawl over the course of the next like 8 rounds remaining, something like that. We'll have an additional 3 potentially wound up as well for our teams if we end up going to overtime, which I would argue is going to be pretty likely given the way that this game has gone so far, but that's pretty far into the future, so we'll talk more about that later. It's back to the basement right now for PB, and that means we are going to see some smaller change-ups to their lineup. Going to keep the Rome game alive for Blaz there, so he'll still stay on the Orcs despite his returning to the basement, and Castle also going to be added into the team now. So a little bit of a different lineup for PB from what we saw last time, just looking to try and formulate the first as well as basement floors a bit more to PB's liking to try and dictate the state of play from the Soniqs.
Yeah, this has got to be mostly for like the mid floor, but it's not. I'm interested to see where Gunner's going to be putting this down the stairs, because there's a lot of different ways that the castle barricades could get in your way of trying to stop the Soniqs from taking some of these sites. So we'll have to see how they're trying to utilize them. Nothing inside of the freezer hallway. Not seeing anything upstairs either. Gunner's actually reinforcing up top. I don't see a single castle barricade around this whole map, and he literally has 1 left in his pocket. We're playing Where's Waldo Castle Edition. That is what we're doing. I do believe that oh, there's one. We've got 1 out of the other 2. We've got 1 all the way up in Trophy that'll be holding the Split for Concrete. I'm assuming the other ones are set up in a very similar way where it's more or less just going to be a delay factor for the Soniqs that they'll have to try and clear out with their own utility.
It's going to be all quiet across the map, though, as the Soniqs not too keen on the initial clear here. Probably good reason behind that, too, given how confused we were about the way that castle barricades are working specifically. Probably a little bit of that confusion built up for the Soniqs as well. Kansan start to pop things open here towards walk-in. Bit of a small breach, too, just to try and prevent the vision that defenders may have had coming in through that. And away from that, Kansan ready to move forward, but just not so much in towards the kids' dorms, where obviously you've got a much bigger stack of PB. Gunner waiting here. Kool-Aid was in the neighborhood, but he's fallen back down. So Gunner Free kill, why not? Just take it, walks right up, says bye-bye to Rexen. I believe we might have one more player in the neighborhood, and indeed we do. Gunnar can now play around with the rotates as they still are not going to have a good idea as to where he went after that kill. He'll take the safe option, though, and evacuate down to the first floor, just happy with the 5v4 advantage.
I'm very disappointed in Soniqs droning today. They're constantly getting punished by somebody just sitting in a corner. There's really nothing more to it, especially in an area where you'd assume a player would be in a setup like this. They've got all the rotations set up upstairs. You should probably check every corner you really can to make sure that things are cleared out, but the Soniqs have failed in that. Now they've lost Rexen because of it. They're towards the mid floor now as Kansan will descend down the freezer stairs, but quickly reascend to try and come back to his teammates. They're trying to get rid of some of the harder to reach places, like some of these castle barricades that we were talking about before. One's going to be at the bottom of laundry, and the other one's actually going to be for the laundry connector here, kind of that main central room with the island. So they'll be able to get rid of most of the castle barricades that we had seen initially, but this has delayed so much time for SQ, and now Parabellum more than likely going to be able to reap the benefits.
Soniqs ready to work their way in, and we're going to see a few of their players begin to make that play, but it's Penguin on a massive flank right now, over 2, as he steals away all of the thunder from the Soniqs' own play. Yeti too far behind on this follow-up. Gunnar already making impact with a secondary shotgun on the castle, leaving only Yeti alone by himself. Beautiful flank to shut down the execute, just as the Soniqs were getting ready to play it.
That is just such a terrible round info-wise for the Soniqs. They're getting punished time and time again by this. We cannot have missed drones when it comes to this drone clear. It does not take that long to turn a drone around and check a corner. It's literally a split second, especially with the sensitivities that these players play, let me tell you. So, like, it's just very weird right now for the Soniqs. I really honestly feel bad for them because more than likely, right, like they're going through all their usual steps, but Parabellum are in that one spot that they are not checking, and not only that, but twice inside of the same half. I mean, that's really got to be dealing some damage to the mental of the Soniqs. We'll see how it goes, though. This is going to be the last round here in our first half as Parabellum currently leads 3-2.
So PB up, looking to really lock it in at 4-2. This is generally the expected scoreline we would look to get out of a defensive-sided Oregon. Of course, if they can push it up to 4-2, all the better. But
he's feeling himself on this, man.
It's going to be trying to go a little bit crazy here with the roaming position as he'll place himself inside of the small tower office. Usually, this gets droned out fairly quickly by the attackers, but the Soniqs have been a little sloppy on their drone game so far. So there is a good possibility that Gunnar is actually able to get away with this positioning upstairs.
I can almost...
Oh, and he's even got Penguin to support and distract for this too. This is really well set up by PB.
I can almost tell you exactly what... Come on, Yeti. Come on, Yeti. Come on, Yeti. 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 He marked him. Okay, thank God.
Yeah, they know.
Thank God.
There's
okay.
no way that drone would have happened.
Oh,
But Gunnar gets the kill on Rexen anyway! What is going on with the Soniqs right now?
Why are you using Finka for that? What are we doing here? Oh no, that's gonna be all the health out for the round because you wanted to try and deal with Gunnar on roam. You have 4 grenades. No, I take it back, John. You have 6 grenades. 6 of them. This is like, you're basically trolling yourself. Like, I don't really know what to say past that. But for Soniqs, they still have an opportunity here. It just really sucks, and I cannot try and push this any further, that Rexen was the one to die in this scenario. That's never what you want, especially when he has so much utility in his pocket. Oh my, just terrible news for the Soniqs. But Parabellum, I mean, they have to be counting their lucky stars that the Soniqs are practically fumbling over themselves.
It's working out well for PB so far, but they haven't necessarily secured things in this round just yet. More than anything, gotten themselves off to a good start. You can see Grixert working his Twitch drone into a fairly pivotal position inside of the kids' dorm. Is going to hand over some crucial intel when we get to the execute phase of Soniqs' attack. Away from that, though, Soniqs are keeping themselves very passively aligned at the moment. More so waiting for the next move out of PB, but I think PB has had their fill. They're perfectly fine with the 1-to-1 exchange. They're going to sit back, wait for the play to come into the site. They're going to be gifted with it, too. Grixer gets one for free as Kool-Aid does not expect the aggression to be that forward into the site this early on in the round. He's made the play correctly. Problem is, Grixer doesn't have support for his feet there. He's going to be shot through it. Penguin able to finish him off, but Super as well, translating another kill for the Soniqs attack in the process. He'll also make sure that the kids' dorms is restored, as he'll be able to take down Penguin, leaving room open for Yeti to get the plant down on the ground, and Eska nicely shot, but it's brought him down very low, to only about 10 HP to play off of here in the 1v2. It'll be surrounded by Super as the Soniqs solidify a 3-3 half.
So a massive misstep earlier, but super able to IGL the Soniqs out of the situation in a very convincing way. Parabellum completely distracted over near main stairs and trying to play out attic as well as games, but nobody is located inside of the dorms area at that moment in time, and that's where the Soniqs strike. Yeti, or rather Grixer, quick to the trigger when he hops inside and able to take full control of the site and allow Soniqs to work their way in as well. An amazing round from them, again, especially after what we saw earlier on. Parabellum had every right to take that round, but instead, the Soniqs have tied things up.
So the Soniqs will bring it back. And again, here is our qualifying probability for both teams. Things look much more promising for Parabellum. Even if they lose this game inside of overtime, at least, they'll still have an 82% chance to qualify. Losing at regulation, things start to look a little bit more dodgy. But for either team, if they win this game outright, they are going to the major. That's the important factor right now. For the rest of it, we'll worry about it as it becomes relevant later on in the day. As we have plenty of other teams that are still vying for a spot, I believe, like 4 out of 8 are still potentially looking to qualify potentially today. So
we started the day with 7, by the way, if you were not aware at home. 7 teams with the potential to make it to Berlin on the last day of Stage 2
so
of the NAL.
there's still like 6 in play then, based on my understanding of that.
Yeah, we've only had 1 game, and yes, indeed, there is still 6 in play because of the initial round, or rather initial map. So TSM sadly losing that, but past that point, we are indeed at the half swap, which means the Soniqs are now on defense. Shoe on the other foot, and Parabellum trying to get themselves into the building and now reclaim the actual setup. So Gunnar going to start working his way in. Be working in from small tower. It'll be Yeti. Actually has Kansan in tow on the freezer stairwell. Still has some of my discs in his pocket to be able to use. He puts down the 2 initial ones that he got inside of prep. It still has 1 in the back pocket to use at a concerning time. And speaking of concerning, Yeti's going to drop off almost immediately after I say that and head back downstairs to try and set up with the Soniqs, forcing Parabellum to finish off their clear, maybe run into a couple of different things like, oh, I don't know, a Grixer that's over inside of meeting, but it's not going to matter all that much. Still actually make it out of lobby instead after they were looking for an initial pick, but couldn't find it.
Grixer not going to be able to make his position work, unfortunately, but is able to safely back up from it and return to the depths of the basement. That was probably the more important part of this for him. As far as the rest of PB is concerned, still winding up that confidence to work themselves down through the E-hatch and a few other access points to be able to push themselves into the basement. Super will be playing into the tight corner here, looking to potentially fight out against at least the initial clear coming down through the back stairs, but a drone is going to spot him, and he's not even going to be able to ever go. He's going to be able to take that drone down. Just took him a moment to be able to focus on that. A second one's going to move in to make sure that he doesn't immediately move from this position. They'll have that confirmed and can more than likely focus on targeting him now once PB is ready to actually move in here in a few seconds.
Yeah, and for Parabellum, their info game is dwindling, now down to 0 drones after the last one gets shot out, and they still have a minute to go. It's going to be a traded kill here, but Rexen will push it into the favor of the defense. Blast can battle back, though, but so can the Soniqs in their own regard. Rexen's going to pick up 1. It's all down to Eska now, who's trying to work his way down the tower stairwell. He'll be able to take down Yeti, but still a lot to do for this job. Has so many angles to worry about, and what an ang from Grixer. Soniqs feeling themselves as they'll be able to take the lead.
Confident first win from the Soniqs, in control pretty much the entire course of the round from the very beginning, where we saw Grixer try to go for that little bit of a cheeky kill from the top. I think it was Laundry Stairs. Didn't work out, of course, but was able to fall back with plenty of access positioning to play off of, and then kind of just waiting out the rest of their setup from that point forward. Not too many issues for the Soniqs over the course of that basement hall. That's the expected one from them, though, given they are, for a lot of people, myself included, the Oregon team. Now we need to see them move upstairs and see if things are going to look just as consistent on kids, or if we'll start to see some troubles pop up for them here.
Yeah, those reasonings are exactly why the Soniqs look so cool, calm, and collected on this defensive end. It was quite scrappy when it came to the offensive side, having to deal with Parabellum and the way that they like to play the game, but now Soniqs have full control of the building and they can play things out. So it's made it a little bit easier for them to try and abuse Parabellum in a lot of different ways. Mostly the info game that last round that that leaked over into those dying moments where Soniqs are able to quickly steal the round away from Parabellum on their entry because they have no info. They can't work off of anything. They can try and throw some frag grenades at random places and hope that they get a kill, but that's really all you can do to try and find some extra info for yourself. So for Parabellum, they're going to have to try and look into this and get a solution for round 8. Soniqs not going to be going about things in really any similar fashion, as obviously it is going to be the top floor, but even past that, not really a roam setup either. We're seeing TSM set things up pretty often downstairs inside of kitchen and security, and that's actually something the Soniqs did for quite some time when it came to this site, but not today.
Just see Penguin first off, trying to sneak his way up.
They see him.
He's going to have full reinforcement on the bedroom walls as well, so no easy point of access there for another teammate to try and open up for them to swing around connector. We'll have to go directly into that, so this is going to be problematic for PB, as Soniqs have a pretty solid setup to get in the way of this. There's no way they missed that, right? The Goyo canister on the floor surely was going to be blown up as Penguin tried to cross it, but still walks right up to it and loses a good 2/3 of his HP, even with the Finka boost considered.
Yeah, well, Rexon's been killed out. Nice little cross there picked up from Gunner initially on the game's window. Very high traffic area initially instead of the round, especially when it comes to the Dorm's defense. A lot of defenders rotating back and forth in that, and Yeti. Oh, I think Yeti's got the play. Is he going to drone back up? Let's see. Looks behind him. There it is. Okay. And let's see. Yeti, this is going to be a heck of a challenge. I don't know if he has a nitro in his pocket. He doesn't, but he's got the kill. Gunner gets bodied by the Vector. And now Yeti can try and hightail it back to a safer pasture. Oh no, Penguin, that's the case down as well. Super's killed him with a smoke. And they'll be able to at least pick that back up and pull it in Kool-Aid's hands. But Parabellum has to try and wrap themselves around this site, but the angles are too strong right now from the Soniqs. They have too many bodies to deal with what Parabellum's throwing at them. These defenses have looked nasty so far from SQ, and the second one is building up to look exactly like that first. The Soniqs look to take round 8.
Soniqs in control of the game now, seemingly putting it up to almost a certain 5 versus 3 on the scoreboard here in just a second, as Eska really just going to wait out the remaining 45 seconds. Don't even think Eska's actually going to make a play. You can see PB being pretty reserved on the cameras right now, so it's looking like more than likely they're just taking this as a bit of a free tactical pause. Has that about 50 to 60 seconds to sit back, consider what's been going wrong, and figure out what exactly they need to do coming up on round 9 to be able to correct against this, as Soniqs only have 2 more rounds needed now to be able to close this. That does not end up working out in their favor. Now down by 2, they're going to have to quickly course correct as the Soniqs are looking to lock in their penultimate round on the tertiary site.
Not only that, but it's going to be on the infamous kitchen cafe site setup. That means that they have to hold on to dorms upstairs, John. It's quite important to the overall play of the site, let alone what goes on inside of cafe with, small tower playing so heavily into that situation. Parabellum have already drawn things out, and they're starting to adjust their lineup accordingly. We're going to bring Thermite in. We're also going to bring the Osa with her shields, giving Parabellum some things to work around when it comes to actually getting the wall open for small tower and looking for a plant. They'll actually have the potential to hold a crossfire from a much better point of view.
But if not, PB now spawned out, and we're going to see them enter the building in a few moments. For the Soniqs, they're going to be positioned upstairs here inside of small tower. Super actually still in the process of setting up here. He needs to get himself prepped, as the breach is going to be coming in at any moment. He needs to get himself prepared for that, especially with this drone spotting him out in a second. It's important to note Super does not have any support here. You can't really give it to the player in this position, as we saw Yeti play into it just a few rounds back. Super's going to try, I think, to play this a bit more out to avoid the pitfalls of that window, but as you can see, there really isn't a super safe zone for him to hide inside of. He's picked the best one, but still, it's going to be very, very tight indeed. And I'll have to be I'll have to be extremely cautious throughout the rest of this round to try and maintain this position. But at minimum, it is going to waste a bunch of time. Candelas are in, though. Gunner does not the right read. Super's movement has worked out well for him here. He's even going to be able to go for 2. A third sits in his future. If he can line it up, don't get it! Super absolutely shutting down the play right now from PB. Blaz has been the only one that can make anything work so far for this attack, and it's in complete ignorance of Super's position upstairs. Even Blaz about to lose himself. Kool-Aid got another frag going. They've pinched out the player in the bathroom, but now Kansan has dealt with Kool-Aid, so there goes that advantage. Blaz is alone here in the 1v3, and Yeti with the swing shuts down another round
There it
for the
is.
Soniqs.
Let them know, Super. Let them know. He is indeed two-turnt today, let me tell you. Off the sauce and showing up all of the Parabellum roster. They can't touch the old man with the 416C inside a small tower, a 3K for Super. That immediately sets up the round for success.
Nicely done by Super, setting up his team, as you said, for that win.
Oh, I was going to say, there's no way you're...
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
So we're back in. We're here. We're ready. So getting back into things now, and I know you.
What the heck is Grixer doing? that's not getting repicked. I just saw that.
Yeah.
I just saw that out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, hold on a second. So Soniqs apparently think that their odds are really good because they've decided to bring the Kavera in.
You know, that would just be the icing on the cake of how crazy this match would be if Grixer gets an interrogation for the last round to send them to Germany. That I'm talking to you, editor at home right now, that's going to put that highlight clip together. If Grixer gets this, I better just see it everywhere. I better just see it all through the highlights before Germany comes out. That's all I'm saying.
I was like, is Grixer going to go for like a timing run-out headshot here?
Absolutely
I
not.
know that
No
gun
way.
does a lot of damage, but to be that bold with it.
I mean, if anything, you want to try and just body shot people because the pistol, the illusion will actually take somebody down in 2 shots up close, and potentially 1. I'm pretty sure they might. I think they actually changed that a while ago, though.
Did they? Okay.
The 1 shot, yes, because like it was like if you were within 10 meters and they shot you 1 time, you immediately went down.
It does like 95 damage or something like that.
Yeah.
The pistol does.
Yeah. So it made all these Cav mains think that they were just so cracked. It's like, no, you're not. Sit down. All right. Take a breather.
Your pistol,
F-tier character
has the most ridiculous damage fall off in the game.
It really does, man. I like, you put a suppressor on any other gun and it's like, all right, maybe 2-3 damage. I don't know what happens to that thing. The bullet probably practically like falls out on the ground. You have to like pick it up and throw it at somebody in order for it to do damage. But we have thankfully delayed long enough, and we now have some action as Yeti's taking some heat inside of security. 2 impacts to the sky, but Rexon with the kill instead. And this is looking like it may actually pay off dividends, John.
Penguin going to be able to get the first kill going for the attackers. However, Grixer, of course, still kind of hiding in plain sight near meeting. We'll have to see what he's going to be able to work with that. Drone, I believe, is going to potentially flush through Grixer's position, and that indeed will force him to change it up now as the drone has been able to suss him out. No follow-through on that drone just yet, so hasn't been able to reconfirm that he stayed inside. Meaning the PB might be operating under an assumption that he fell back down to the base, but I would not be so bold as to think that, though, considering why else would you bring a Cav into the play here if you weren't going to stick it out? Blaz is able to make things consistent for PB, though, as he knocks out a second member of the defense, truly leaving Grixer alone here on an island.
Now this is terrifying for Grixer, but with the amount of rounds in this pistol, Grixer can actually multi-frag here, and that's possibly the scariest thing that could happen to Parabellum. They need to be aware that this player is around and they're not. Oh my, big shots, but no, he misses. Impact out, Gunner's still gonna stay alive. Grixer, oh my, he misses the mark, and now he's dead to Kool-Aid. This is gonna let Parabellum right back in the door, unless Yeti has something to say about it. Hasn't been droned out, but now aware that there could be the potential for Parabellum to try and flood out his position. He's going to fall back over towards Super, who still has all of his smokes to try and play out this dying moment.
Interesting strategy from the Soniqs, but I don't really think it's worked out to the way they would have liked. I think that there was potential for this to have been played well if we had a few different players in a couple different positions, but we'll have to revisit that in the future. As for now, we need to focus on the closing moments of this round. 30 seconds left. Blaz has already made his impact against one of the 2 remaining Soniqs members. Yeti sits alone now inside of a 1v4. He's going to have to try and make something happen, but realistically, it is not looking too good. And Blaz just dashes right into his crosshair to knock him out and solidify the first of 3 rounds needed for PB to push OT.
All right, so a little cheeky strat. You know, it honestly could have worked out there for Gunner as well if he just lands a follow-up shot, but he only got him 1 time in the back there with Lujan pistol. It's just really unfortunate because he downs him, throws an impact in there. Obviously, that's a kill for Soniqs, and that's more than likely the round starting to build up in their favor instead, and it's just not the case at all. Parabellum with a quick trigger pull as well as a quick take post Caveira, making things pretty easy for them once they actually got control of Freezer. Blaz making a valiant effort in order to achieve that as he picked up 3 kills inside of that round.
Nicely done indeed here. Soniqs still in pole position, however, and that's the thing that Parabellum need to remember, as the Soniqs ultimately going for a little bit of a wild strategy on that previous round. Took a bit of a risk and it didn't pan out. They are still, in my opinion at least, very much in control of the matchup right now if they play into normal stands. This is going to be much more in line with that now that we see them go back to some more familiar operator options here. Still going to have a little bit of a curveball deployed by Rexon in the form of the Kapkan, but he's been played more and more in the meta over the past few months for these kind of niche toss-in scenarios, so PB should be very well aware that this is a possibility, and more importantly, they should know how to handle it.
Yeah, Kapkan's just a nice operator that you can flex to at really any moment in time.
It's like a Legion.
Yeah, exactly. I would almost say that he's better than Legion in a lot of different ways.
I feel like he's better than Legion, the fact that you can kind of just randomly throw him in whenever, and it usually works if the opposing team is playing fast enough, whereas Legion, I think, is curtailed to a few specific sites at this point.
Yeah, and like Legion Mines, yeah, it only takes one, right, to really have an effect and make it to where you can kind of win out something. But with Kapkan, you really only do need one, because you can just blow somebody up and all of a sudden they either have 0 HP or they're dead, depending on how many of the Kapkan traps you put on the door. Speaking of Kapkan traps, the EDD is going to go away as Blaz will get rid of the one at top white, but there are still some around the building that he'll have to worry about. And past that, it's going to be Rexon as well at the bottom of Freezer. Him and Yeti are going to hightail it away from the staircase, though, as Parabellum could quickly deliver some frag strikes and take them down. But fortunately enough for the Soniqs, none of that going to go down, so they'll be able to try and hold on to the basement and allow Parabellum to start setting up this mid-floor.
Eska ready to move forward with the rest of PB here as they get prepared to send themselves down into the basement. Probably going to see the first moves towards actually making that transition relatively soon, but still needing to open up a few hatches before they potentially get to that point. So maybe some delay in the process. Away from that, though, Gunnar, now having E-hatch open, is going to start to deploy some of the soft breach to open up more options with regards to forcing Soniqs members into more unfamiliar corners, like you're going to see here too, trying to knock out Super's position with those corner holes, but it won't work out too well. Super will still absolutely be able to maintain his presence down here, and with his performance in the last round, I'd be watching out right now because Super is ready to frag here. PB may not want to contest directly against him without a proper way to clear him out. They seem to have a pinch lined up, but now we need to see how well it follows through into the execute, as this is so often where our attacking teams fall apart.
I think they almost took too much time. I think Super's ADSs may have reset, and he's safe in this situation. Blaz is going to take some damage. Super's going to get pushed out as he isn't aware of anybody pushing through construction. A self-stun will happen as well for the offense. Blaz trying to hold things down on elbow. He's going to get pushed out here. A nice adjustment, but he's going to need the shotty instead. Beautiful shot from Kansan, but that downs Rexon. Yeti with a nice shot back. It's all up to Kool-Aid and Eska, and Yeti's going to get taken down. It's a 2 versus 2, and it's anybody's ball game at 30 seconds remaining. Oh, a beautiful angle here from Grixer, almost taking down Eska, but he has to know somebody's working the freezer hallway. He gets taken down from Kool-Aid. Doesn't have the game sense at the moment, and now it's up to Kansan. Kansan gets taken out from Kool-Aid as well, and Parabellum stays alive here on Oregon.
PB getting emotional here as they're coming down to the wire. One final round is all that's needed, and PB will, at minimum, activate overtime, which for them is absolutely huge. Will surge their chances, even if they still follow through and lose this game, from about 30% to almost 90% as well. So this is definitely something they want to at least lock in here by getting the 6th round. Soniqs now the capability to play spoiler in that respect, though, is if they lock in the win, they are going to the major regardless, but they can ruin PB's chances by denying them this one single round.
Oh man, I can just see the edits
They're
of
going
like
basement again.
Yeah, I can just see like the edits of like Super sitting in a throne with like his head over like the logo of, or his like foot over the logo of PB and being like, so it comes down to me. Like it's just such like a villain arc, man. It's awesome. I'm loving what we're seeing here right now, and the fact that it's reached this mark. You know, initially it did seem like Parabellum had some moments to be able to pull away from the Soniqs, but not able to put defenses together like the Soniqs have, and they're showing that off time and time again, but it seems like the bell of Parabellum has been rung. They're very aware of the situation at the current moment, and they are trying their hardest to make sure that they can go to Berlin, Germany.
Well, it's come down to this here. One final round between both of our teams. Parabellum would certainly like to push it to overtime, but for the Soniqs, they want to end this here and now. So we need to see if they can get the job done. A few still stragglers out and about for the Soniqs. They're going to be roaming around. Yeti specifically maintaining security presence here. Aside from that, though, it's not looking like there's going to be much on the first floor as the team plays fully into their bunker downstairs. Even Yeti will probably fall back pretty quickly here. More than likely going to happen after he gets spotted out by this drone, and there he goes. He is gone. As the Soniqs do not want to take any risks here inside of the early round, and why should they? They've got a fairly conservative composition, even now bringing a Mira into the fold as well. We've slowly seen this over the past 3 rounds kind of devolve from a very aggressive and somewhat wild composition with the Kavera now to almost your basic go-to here for the basement setup.
Yeah, yes indeed. And I mean, even past that moment, we saw the Electro Claws here from Kansan. And you know what that's going to do? It's actually going to delay out Parabellum because they have to get Penguin all the way inside to start torching up these hatches. Now, luckily enough, they've drawn things far enough ahead to be able to know that he needs to accomplish this task. So he'll quickly get into meeting. They'll have the sledge connect the security hatch as well, so he can immediately go over and start working on that. But this is all going to be a time sink for PB.
Penguin has managed to get himself in position, so already, of course, working on opening up that E-hatch. However, half the round nearly gone already. This team needs to speed things up here, make sure that they have the proper setup to work themselves into the basement. Penguin actually taking a little bit of a risk there in the way he opens that up. He's lucky. A certain member of the Soniqs wasn't peered out against that, as it could have been a fairly quick pick and would have denied further hard breach. Thankfully, they don't really need a whole lot of additional hard breach past that. That was the toughest one there, and now they just need to worry about that transition down to the bottom floor, where at the moment, the Soniqs have really been struggling to fend off the entry game from PB, as it's been solid and has been the springboard allowing them to pick up the past 2 rounds.
Parabellum seem to be sick of it, John. I think we're about to be going for a pretty fast execute here. Grixer needs to be aware, though, inside of Boiler. We saw what happened to Super in this exact same spot as he was trying to train his eyes on the stairwell and got taken out from 2 players rushing in at him. Kansan's going to get droned out as well, but what a move from him, playing the time out perfectly. Nobody's got him on timing, but no, Penguin must have seen his shoulder. A frag grenade in will take down Kansan. I thought he slipped through the cracks, but he didn't. What a shot from Grixer, though, as Rexon will take down another Parabellum. It's slipping through your fingers. Grixer will get taken down from Penguin as he won't let this go quietly into the night. It's up to Eska to get anything done for Parabellum. The Canadian team needs him at a time like this. Frag grenade in hand, it'll go out, but it's not going to hit its mark. A shotgun up close and personal. Super will end it, and it's going to be the Soniqs going all the way to Berlin, Germany, after they miss out on the first major of the year.
Another major berth indeed for the Soniqs roster. Had a fantastic run back at SI 2022.